Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Reaper and H2K Sports Takeaway. I am one of your hosts, JT's Reaper, here alongside my co-host, H2K or Hard to Kill. Make sure that you guys go follow us on our other channels as well. But guys, we are very excited to bring you a sports talk show. We are two very avid sports lovers who want to bring you our thoughts, our opinions, and the weekly happenings of the sports world, whether that be fighting, football, soccer, basketball, whatever it is. If it's athletic, you name it, we're bringing it to you. And we are very excited to bring this in. And hey, this may not be for everybody. I mean, Hard to Kill can attest. We are very much just talking about our feelings and opinions here, and you know what's based on everything that's happening around the sports world. So we're excited to share that along with you. We hope that you guys are going to comment below and maybe even try to call in once in a while to have conversations with us, because we are very excited to bring that kind of stuff to you. And you know what, H2K, why don't you take it away, baby?
For sure, man. Yeah, it's first podcast ever in the history of this here show. So that's pretty awesome for sure. So I guess, man, we might as well just hop right on in. What do you think?
Absolutely.
So I guess the first thing that we wanted to talk about was this GOAT conversation. So there's a lot of discussion around the GOAT. I believe we both can agree to this that Aaron Rodgers put out on Twitter about or he was on the Pat McAfee show and he kind of gave his thoughts on that. I don't know if you got that graphic or not.
Absolutely. Yeah, so Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show said there's way too many people labeled the GOAT. This guy's the GOAT of this guy's the GOAT of that. Used to be the greatest of all time, was one person.
Exactly.
H2K, I don't think that could be more true.
I'm right there with you, man, and I'm glad he hopped in on this. And you and I were having a discussion about this not just the other day, yeah, about Michael Jordan and stuff like that. So yeah, absolutely. Everybody's the damn GOAT now.
Yeah, my issue with it, and Aaron Rodgers, thank God he's a humble man, because I do think he is one of the best people to ever play the position of quarterback. I mean, skill wise, his intelligence, everything. But is he the GOAT? Probably not. Really, accolades wise, a guy who holds records, a guy who's won a Super Bowl. Peyton Manning is probably, in my mind, in there. Drew Brees has the records to back it up. So but Aaron Rodgers, as much as I love the guy, and I'm an avid Packer fan, ladies and gentlemen. So I mean, I have a very hard bias towards Aaron Rodgers, but I can't say he's the GOAT, but he's in the conversation because there are so many GOATs.
This is the damn thing about it, right? Like when you say someone is the greatest of all time, that ends the discussion right there for all future generations, does it not? Because we're saying all time. If you really want to dive into it, now, how do you say it? You have to go and say, listen, this guy is the greatest quarterback of his generation. I think you could say that.
I think you could, but his generation also involved Brett Favre. It also involved, I mean, you had Brett Favre, you had Peyton Manning in there for a little bit, you have Tom Brady in there, you got Drew Brees in there. So can we really say that like Aaron Rodgers would be the greatest of his generation? I don't think so. But I mean, to your point, yeah, there are a lot of guys like Floyd Mayweather, I think, is the prime example of the greatest of his generation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, who else was fighting in his generation? Like, I mean, when we talk the greatest of all times in boxing, we got before Floyd, you probably go to what? Iron Mike?
But even then, his reign was short lived, and look at all the freaking outside of the ring issues with him. You know what I mean?
Right.
This guy was
That's a good point.
He took a complete and utter turn for the worse when he could have gave
that is a
boxing
good point.
such a spectacular run. And he did. He'll never be forgotten. He's one of the best to ever entertain in the ring. I'll give you that. I will say that.
Yeah, and so I mean that's the whole I think argument with the whole there's too many goats thing nowadays because
There's too many goddamn goats.
yeah
Everybody is the
it's
goddamn goat. It's greatest of all
all time.
time.
Right,
That's
and
it.
where I think that's the whole sports conversation in general, and this is where we were really getting into it, is Michael Jordan probably brand identity wise and how much he's well known around the world. We can take the rings and his athleticism out of it and everything. His notoriety far exceeds everyone's. So
Everybody.
so do you really make that GOAT conversation really kind of more of, well, isn't really the greatest of all time how well you're known around the world?
That's the way I look at both. Well, here's the, I guess, how am I trying to make my argument here on this particular? So, especially with the Michael Jordan thing, you know exactly how I feel about it. I believe that he is the greatest of all time in his particular sport for what he did for the sport, what he did for athletics in general, you know, all of that stuff. Because Michael Jordan, what he did was took a game that was only in the US, really, in a few other countries, and then took it global. If you watch the Last Dance documentary, they go into how many countries they were in before Michael Jordan and after. It's insane.
Yeah,
So
I because
there's so many people.
my hard part of the rings argument, let's Bill Russell. Let's talk about Bill Russell in the NBA. That guy has 11 NBA championship rings, but all we talk
Yeah,
about
go
is Mike
find
and
a
his
fan who
6.
knows. Go find a fan or like a casual NBA person, who knows
But
LeBron, Kobe, and
exactly,
ask
and
him who
that's
the hell Bill Russell is.
right. That's exactly what I'm saying. So really, should it really be more about the notoriety or I think the hard part about this discussion, there's so many different ways you can look at it. I
There
brought
is
up
a lot.
with A-Raj. I think with what the man has as a total package is probably the greatest total package of all time. But I don't
Yeah,
think
look
he's
at
the
his.
greatest of all time, though.
Yeah, that's another thing. Because you had what I look at is because what Michael Jordan did will never be able to be recreated. It will never happen. And that's why I can. And on top of the fact he had the athleticism, he has the rings and everything that came along with that.
Yeah.
That's how you have to classify a greatest of all time. Can it be reproduced ever? Michael Jordan did something for the NBA that can never be reproduced because guess what? We ain't making no more damn
I
countries
think
unless we're going to fucking space. Oh,
I think he did something that no athlete, like he changed it not just for the NBA but for he changed something for all athletes going forward. And this is why I really think it can't be recreated because he kind of started the major brand deals. Like there I mean obviously
yeah,
people were getting sponsors and brand deals before Michael
nothing
Jordan.
like him.
But
Nothing
yeah,
like
I don't
him.
think it was marketed, and whether that was Mike's product or just the product of really good PR, which I think not enough can be said necessarily for MJ's PR, because I think his PR team did probably the most amazing job with an athlete ever. Next highest PR team before he got into all his issues was probably with Tiger Woods. I mean, Tiger Woods was pretty well
See,
pushed by Nike.
yeah. Now, I am not a huge Tiger Woods fan. I'm glad you brought him up, though. He freaking slipped my damn mind. What Tiger Woods did for golfing
Mm-hmm.
is on an entire another level as well. Because I don't think before Tiger Woods I could have named one golfer. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not, now that I've gotten older, I've kind of like watched golf for some reason. I don't know. I guess when you hit 30, a motherfucker just start watching golf. You know what I mean? But you knew who Tiger Woods was, even if you didn't ever play a round of golf in your entire life.
Right. And that's
So can he be, and what he did for that sport, can it be reproduced? I don't know. So he
right.
may
And
be the
see,
greatest of all time in golf.
And see, that's where I bring up, his the PR team. I mean, he's known globally, and I don't know, in my mind, because I used to look at it as a statistical thing only, solely a statistical thing. I'm like, if you've got the stats to back it up, that's what makes you the greatest of all time. Then my opinion changed, and I said, well, what is the greatest of all time? Is it really more of what you are able to do in the moment? Which, Aaron Rodgers is somebody who, again, as a total package between his intelligence, his arm, his legs, everything. Okay, yes, that was and I used to look at it, and then I was looking at it that way. Well, now, the more and more I've talked about with people, I go, okay, really, I think it's more of a notoriety thing. What have you been able to get people to really notice you for? Whether it was on the court, whether it was your championships, or whether it was just your marketing, that you got so blown up that you were the great. Because now Muhammad Ali, I think he's the closest one to doing what Jordan did before Jordan. Everybody around the world knew him, and people knew what people saw him on billboards, TVs, everywhere, all the time. So I think he was the closest one, and holding his fights in different places, the Thrilla in Manila, and he's got to be the closest one to doing that before Jordan.
Right. So I think what we've done is establish what our opinion is on some of the greats in particular sports. Golf we've covered, NBA we covered. We didn't necessarily agree unanimously, but in my mind, golf, Tiger Woods has got to be the greatest of all time, because he did the notoriety thing, publicity, marketing, and he's got the damn championship to back it up, or the whatever they call those things, the titles. And then boxing, that's up to debate, really. Muhammad Ali, though, if you've never watched a round of boxing, you know who the hell he is.
And again, it's because of him constantly being on, like we talked about, being on TV, being in all the different countries, being out there so much that it's just gotta be.
Yeah. And if you look at football, I think it might be a younger sport than the golf, the baseball, and boxing. I think it might be a younger sport than all that. I'm not 100% sure on that, historically speaking. And you got to look at how the game has changed.
Yeah.
The evolution of the game, man. Because football is a hard one, man. You go back and look at Roger Staubach, for example, right?
Yep.
People know who he is if you're a football fan. And you say, well, look how the game was played then.
Right.
Look, what was the 40-yard dash in
Right.
Robert Staubach's day? You know what I mean?
Right.
So how can we call that man the GOAT when the players are far more athletic? I mean, back in the 70s, they were still smoking cigarettes.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Damn sideline.
Yeah.
So right. And at this particular time, technology and fitness, the way those two have combined, there's never been a better athlete now more than ever.
Yep.
So I don't know that you can say that someone from the 70s, 80s, even 90s, I would say, they were starting to come along, but 70, 80, 60, you can't put anybody in the NFL category as the greatest of all time.
Right.
I just don't think you could do it. I don't.
Yeah, it just goes to the whole root of the conversation of, Aaron Rodgers had the right point of, there are too many. It's just the greatest of all time is the greatest of all time, not some of the greatest of all times.
Yeah.
And that's
so that brings us back to who the hell is the greatest of all time in the NFL?
And see, it's hard to say, because, and again, it really depends on how you look at it. Like I was talking about, whether it's stat driven, whether it's notoriety driven, whether it's rings driven. How do you determine how it's looked at? There needs to be like a
in the NFL.
Yeah, there needs to be like a college football playoff committee type group that just determines and says, nope, this is it. This is the guy.
Because you can't even consider the Hall of Fame.
Right.
the NFL Hall of Fame because they induct 10, 15 players a
Right.
year in there.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, talking about that for a minute, I mean, these Hall of Fame inductions, it seems like more and more people every year start getting put in, and it's like, you don't know who half these guys are.
Nope, you don't. I think they're all from skill positions, but I'm not sure. I don't even know how you freaking. I don't even know how the hell.
Wow, Pat McAfee is gonna come at you for that one. The brand is gonna come get you, my friend. That was. Hey, if any punters or kickers are listening out there, I was not the one who said that. Okay.
I fucking said it, all right? Okay. Mr. H2K, all right? You can fucking tweet it out or something. I don't know. But yeah, man, determining a greatest of all time in the NFL due to the amount of positions there are has got to be. I don't know how you would do it. I really don't. So yeah, when you start talking about the greatest of all time in the NFL, I think you should probably check what the hell you're saying before you say any damn thing. Right. Because there's just far too many facets to the damn game. That's the way I look at it.
I agree with you. So speaking of the NFL, playoffs, man. Playoffs are coming up.
Yeah, here we are.
Playoffs are coming.
I could keep talking about that goddamn goat thing for the next 45 damn minutes. But we gotta move on.
We gotta move on.
Move it on.
We have the NFL playoffs coming up, and there are some teams involved that realistically probably should not be. Am I wrong? This is
gonna be my favorite part of the show right here, baby. Steeler bashing time. With it.
Oh, okay. Let's make a swap to the Steeler graphic real quick. So the Steelers, they're currently sitting what? They're sitting number 3. They're sitting number 3 with a clinched playoff spot. Now, should they necessarily have a clinched playoff spot? My opinion is no. Let's looking at this graphic, when they were 11-1 or going into week 12 at 11-0. Let's see who they played. They beat Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes. Okay. They beat an injured Broncos team that was injured to the point of they signed a wide receiver to play quarterback. They signed a wide receiver to play quarterback. So they beat them. They beat the Texans, who Texans have been good in some years. Currently, Texans.
They fired their head coach.
They fired their coach
right after that or before that. I don't remember.
Yep, fired their coach. So I mean, that tells you where they were at. They beat and Hard to Kill probably disagrees with this one. They beat a bum Wentz. Carson Wentz this year for whatever reason.
Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz this year has been no good. Yeah. He has been damaged goods. They beat the Browns, who did not have Nick Chubb that week, who arguably still should be good. We've had this conversation before, me and Hard to Kill, about why the Browns don't have a good product. They have the athleticism and the players to have a good product. So I don't.
But something ain't right with them.
Something doesn't work. So then you take Nick Chubb out of it, it's even worse. The referees beat the Titans. Hard to Kill as a Titans fan. I mean,
that's my number one team, baby.
What were your thoughts on that game?
My thoughts on that game is I've erased it from my damn memory. That's my damn thoughts because I can't even remember. And I hate the Steelers. I hate them. I don't give a damn. If you're from Pittsburgh and you love the Steelers, don't come up to me, please.
So he hates punters and kickers, and he's dissing on Pittsburgh. I mean, Pat McAfee, you got free reign to come after this man. Bring us on your show. We'd love to talk about it.
I don't know why I hate the Steelers, but I do.
The following week, the same business goes on. Late in the game, refs are making calls that are defeating The Ravens, and let's also be real, the Ravens this year have also not been what they were last year. It is not the same football team. Yeah.
No, look at their
They beat the 2-7 Cowboys. They beat the 2-5-1 Bengals, who they would then lose to about 4 weeks later. They beat the 1-8 Jaguars. They beat a practice squad. Yeah. They beat the practice squad Ravens, who were down so many guys that week that it literally practice squad due to COVID. And then that week started the losing streak where they lost to the Washington team name redacted football team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
this week they lose, or wait, did they lose to the Bengals?
This week they lost to the Bengals with no Joe Burrow.
Bungles.
With no Joe Burrow.
Oh, man.
I mean, this team should not be considered a quality clinched playoff team. They just really shouldn't.
Reaper, I'm gonna step in and be the voice of reason here. Okay, let's take a step back. Even though I despise the Steelers, I despise the quarterback. Okay, I hate them. Let's take a step back here, and they still beat all of these teams. Pro Football Focus has them ranked number 11.
Well, let's bring it up too that many of these teams they beat were by mere points, not tens of points, single digits of points. That's to.
Let's look at their team. Let's take a look. So if we look at at TJ Watt specifically, that's their best. That's their highest graded player on the team. I mean, according to Pro Football Focus, this is on their website here. And yeah, so how their defensive edge guy is their number one player. I look in the backfield, and I don't think I can name one of their secondary members except for Joe Hayden, and I think he might be injured. Do they have Minka Fitzpatrick?
That I do not know. I don't know.
I think they have Minka Fitzpatrick. I know that their defense is solid. I don't know. Their running back's an issue. How well are they running the ball? I don't know. Yeah, you may be right.
Yeah. I don't think that they are what they claim to be. I don't think they're what their fans claim to be. I mean, I'll give them some credit of, yeah, you did win those games. And I mean, you've been there before. You've proven that you could be good in the past. So, I mean, it's the way it goes. But, I look at teams like the Chiefs. Can the Steelers beat the Chiefs? No, the Chiefs are a very solid, sound football team. They returned almost everybody from their Super Bowl run last year. Good football team. The Bills, very much a surprising upset contender. I think the Bills could do well. And it would be great for Bills fans. Those poor folks, you poor folks in Buffalo, you lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. I mean, if they can have a run here, and I think they could. And then you've got the Titans, who are in the hunt, who again last year beat the Ravens, came up big, played very well. Hard to kill. What do you got on your Titans?
Yeah, sorry, I have a little technical difficulty there talking about the Steelers. I got so damn worked up on it. So obviously I'm a Titans fan, but I am, due to the last decade of Titans football, I can never jump on the bandwagon with them. But I'll tell you right now, it feels so goddamn good to have a double-digit win season and be positive. You know what I mean? So there is that. And Derrick Henry's a goddamn beast. No one can deny that. But here's what I did see the other day, or I was scrolling through Twitter or something like that. Also, you guys can follow us on Twitter, Reaper and H2K Sports Takeaway. Be sure and check that out. We will be on there posting stuff. But I saw it on Twitter that they're talking about the Hall of Fame. This goes back to that god dang GOAT conversation, man. They're already trying to put this man in the Hall of Fame. Like, slow it down a little bit. He's had 2 good seasons back to back. Let's not forget his first couple of seasons, which were not the greatest. But do I think that we are an actual playoff contention team that we can run deep in the playoffs? Not with that secondary. We are historically. I don't think a team has been worse on third down ever. So how do we ever expect to beat a team like the Chiefs if we can't stop them on third down?
Yeah, I
But
would
I
I would
enjoy
agree
winning
with that,
season. I
man.
enjoy going to the playoffs.
I would agree
Let's
that
go.
that's probably areas yeah where you guys fall a little bit. Yeah, I do that ground game. Derrick Henry is almost doesn't need an offensive line. Can pretty almost do it himself. But we've talked about this before too. How long does that last? Guys realistically probably got 3 years left of prime time running back real estate.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
that's
Yeah,
where that
it's
issue
a
also
tough call
comes.
on those guys for sure. Our secondary is just so bad. And we have a good safety back there in Kevin Byard. Our linebacking core is pretty much unknown. If you asked, even I would say more than a casual NFL watcher, our linebacking core is virtually unknown.
Right.
And then you look at our defensive line, same deal, except for Jeffrey Simmons. And the only reason I feel that way is because the analysts, have been pumping my head up with, you got to watch Jeffrey Simmons. He's going to be a Pro Bowler one day. You know what I mean? But this guy we might have the lowest sack total in the league. I'm not sure.
Right. Yeah.
So we got a lot of things that we got some holes in the game. But if we get up 14, 21, if we get up 14 points on a team and we got Deuce back there, King Henry, I don't know if they're going to come back,
Yeah.
dude. You know what I mean? Because that'll slow your whole damn thing down.
Right. Absolutely. And then, you've got, going back to the whole playoff picture, you've got the Browns right behind the Titans in the hunt. Again, the Browns.
Mm-hmm. There's just something you can't look
at. It's hard because they have the talent that is required to make the run. They've got a quarterback who, although he may not be the MVP of the league, he's good enough to get you to where you need to go with talent around him, I think, and his attitude. Baker Mayfield's attitude, he's a far different person than he was in college. He's even a far different person than he was his first year in the league. I think he's much more in tune with what he's doing. More power to him. Again, Browns, a team that hasn't been good for a long time. Hope they make the playoffs. Hope there's a little bit of a run in there. We'll see what they can do. But again, there's just, we keep saying it, there's something there that makes them.
It's just right.
Yeah,
It just ain't right.
It's just.
You're just like, I can't trust you.
And then you've
like
got
a girlfriend that cheated on you and you stay together or something, Like, I don't trust you, man.
You've got the Colts behind them, who Phillip Rivers, great pickup.
I'm not saying anything about that blue team whatsoever until they're fully eliminated.
I personally, if there's a team I like in the league, based on their history, based on the players they've had that I've liked, the Colts are it. The Colts are it, dude.
God.
The Colts, because Peyton Manning, that guy is.
He's a class act. No
he's the role model you want for your franchise. Absolutely the role model you want for your franchise. I mean, he was the true definition of a good player who also had just a good image no matter where he went. And some of the stories I've heard about the man are just hilarious, man. And that just based on that, I gotta like the Colts a little bit. Plus they got my boy Jonathan Taylor. I gotta root for Badgers, man. If you got a Badger on your team, I'm rooting for you. You've got the Dolphins behind that. Who
I'll be honest with you. The Colts scare me, and I don't want to go up against them again. They got that linebacker Darius Leonard, who is an absolute monster. So I just have a strong disdain for the Colts simply because they're in my division and they gave us so many problems, but they look like a sound football
Yeah,
team and their record
veteran
shows it.
quarterback.
Fucking hate it.
Yeah, yeah. It's a scenario of a team who could just like I feel like the AFC has a lot of underdog teams that could really pull off some stuff here. Like you've got the Dolphins, who again underdog team, but every once in a while show glimpses of being a good football team. The Colts underdog team, but again show glimpses of being a good football team. The Browns again show glimpses of being a good football team. The Bills obviously playing out of their minds. You've got the Ravens, who with Lamar Jackson, as much as I think Lamar Jackson's not necessarily a superstar player of, at least in the caliber of someone like Aaron Rodgers who can manage a game. I don't know if Lamar Jackson can manage a game like a quarterback necessarily needs to, but he can change a game. I will give it, he can change a game. I mean,
he's still young too.
Yeah,
he's still young.
So that by itself tells me, maybe they could be a threat. The Raiders, I feel like that's probably the biggest underdog team in the whole thing. Being on the bubble. Derek Carr just got hurt, didn't he?
I'm not 100% sure, but I know absolutely they're kind of weird, man. Like I think that they got blown out in some game. I can't remember, but they got absolutely blown out after like putting on a great performance, and then the next week they get blown out.
Right.
So I don't trust them at all to even make it into the playoffs. I understand they're on the bubble and stuff. John Gruden, I mean, you can't help but really like the guy. I don't know, something about the dude you just like and you want to see him in the playoffs.
Right.
But as far as the team is concerned, a little shaky.
I think all of those teams from the in the hunt to these in the hunt teams here, all the way down through the on the bubble teams, I think are going to be really interesting football games.
Absolutely.
Titans, Browns, Colts, Dolphins, Ravens, Raiders. Almost anybody, I think, could take those games. Anybody. So I think that's probably I think they're a little more interesting than the NFC side, because getting into the NFC side,
some weird stuff going on in the AFC. Obviously, your Packers are on top, and we play next week, so you're dead to me for 3 hours on Sunday. But after that, we're cool. Well, depending on how the game goes. What about the Saints? I think. I mean, if you want to, what about the Packers though? I mean, let's take the fandom out of it, right? I personally don't think that the Packers. I think they can win. I think they can get to the NFC Championship game and maybe go to the Super Bowl. But here's my main concern with them. And we talked about this the other night. I don't think they can beat the Chiefs.
Personally, I think they can. My whole thing with the Packers is statistically they're the number one offense in the league. Number one offense, and not only the number one overall offense, but they are also they have the leading pass touchdown thrower in the league. They have the leading touchdown catch receiver in the league. They have one of the top 10, if not top 5 running backs, and next to Christian McCaffrey, probably most versatile run pass backs in the league. Their wide receiver depth is pretty big with Marquez Valdez-Scantling. It's just the team on offense is very sound. The offensive line led by David Bakhtiari, who has been a staple year after year after year. Now here's my biggest problem. No, this is probably the second best Green Bay Packers team I have seen in my life. Third best. I'm going to give it third best. The first best was the team in 2012 where they did not go to the Super Bowl. They brought back almost everybody who they had from winning the Super Bowl. Plus, most of those players, though, the key players, were injured in the Super Bowl. Donald Driver, injured. Charles Woodson, injured. Jermichael Finley, injured. So many big key... Nick Collins, injured. But that following season, all those guys were healthy. They went on a run where I think they lost in week 13 or 14 to the Washington football team. And that was probably the best Packers team I've ever seen. Didn't go to the Super Bowl. The second best Packers team I've ever seen was the second year Brett Favre Super Bowl, where, again, that team returned pretty much everybody from going to winning the Super Bowl. They went to the Super Bowl, but lost in the Super Bowl. The pattern that I have found with the Packers is when they have a good team, because, again, another good team right before Brett Favre retired for the last time from Green Bay, where he threw a pick to the Giants and Eli Manning goes on to win the Super Bowl. That was a very good Packers team. Again, lost, didn't go to the Super Bowl. Really good Packer teams don't make it to the Super Bowl. It's the wild card Packer teams that have a little bit of grit. Those are the ones that go to the Super Bowl. So I'm very nervous about this Packer team because being the NFC leader right now and being the number one offense, I've watched them shit the bed in this position.
Right.
So I'm a little skeptical on them playoff wise. As far as a regular season wise goes, best team in the NFC, no doubt. I'll take them any day on anybody, even the AFC teams. I'll take them against the Chiefs in the regular season any day. In the playoffs, though, because in the playoffs you don't get I'm going to run the table, Aaron Rodgers. You get we're in first place. We're going to run the football. We're going to, I'm going to be smart about my passes, Aaron Rodgers, and I don't like that, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all goes down when they do actually get into the playoffs and see, what they are able to do and accomplish out of there, because you never know. That's the whole idea of the playoffs. You can be banging during the freaking regular season. You get into the playoffs, it's a one and done. That's it for you. So,
I mean, the next teams you got the Saints, who. Very solid football team. Year after year, the Saints are always in some sort of position to be at least a solid football team. Drew Brees, obviously amazing. Taysom Hill, I like him as the Drew Brees replacement. And as an athlete, the guy's one of the most freakish athletes I've ever seen. Guy can do everything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, then you got the Seahawks down here as well.
Yep.
They've clinched, which is kind of crazy. Now, here's the real thing. You got damn near 8 or 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 5 teams that are on the bubble as compared to the AFC, which is only 2. So it's going to be an interesting deal coming down the stretch for the NFC for sure. Who do you got?
Well, what's interesting to note about that before I go into who I got is look at the top 2 in the hunt teams in the NFC.
NFC and Rams, yeah.
Or no, not in the hunt, sorry, on the bubble teams. 2 more NFC North teams.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about a division that's like playing for some shit. Yeah, that's going to be a barn burner going down between those. But I think out of the in the hunt teams, Washington excites me. Part of it might be my fandom in
Alex Smith.
My fandom in Alex Smith. I mean, the guy makes you feel good. The guy, comeback player of the year before he even took a snap, without question. Then he's taking snaps and he's beating teams. They're playing well. I mean, I love seeing that guy throw good balls. And not only that, but with everything that's gone on with them, it's exciting to see them. You've got the Rams who.
They're silent. They're sneaking up.
Yeah, they're sneaky.
Getting better and better, dude. They're 9-5. I remember the world was collapsing in LA in like week 5 or something because they were like 2-3 or 1-3 or something. Now here they are sitting at 9-5. You gotta watch them. Jared Goff. I don't know about that guy as a quarterback. I don't know. Man. I don't know what to say about the guy. You know, he just looks like dumbfounded all the time. But hey, man, he's getting it done. Here's the real team that I'm looking at is the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know why, other than I called out Kyler Murray a couple of years when he came into the league. I said, "There's no way this dude's gonna make it," and here he is doing really well. Not so much dominating, but he's keeping his team in the game. He won that crazy game in Houston. After Houston, it came in and, or I don't remember if it was Houston. It was against the Bills. It was against the Bills. Stephon Diggs catches this crazy pass in the end zone, and Kyler Murray leads the team all the way down there and beats the Bills. So there's something to be said right there about that. So I want to see Kyler Murray in the playoffs, and I want to see how that whole thing transpires. That's what's
Where
got me most excited.
where are you on the Bucks?
I just skipped over them because of Tom Brady. I'm like, I don't want to talk about Tom Brady, really. You know what I'm saying? But honestly, I have not had a lot of opportunities to watch them, even though I do have the Sunday ticket. They haven't been involved in a lot of games that I was like, I really want to watch that, except for maybe week one when Tom Brady was there. But here they are, 9-5. But what can you say about them? I don't know that much about them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you on that, and my whole thing with the Bucks is everybody's like, oh, all this talent they got. My problem is none of it's youthful talent, though. It's every single one of them is well past their prime playing days. Rob Gronkowski retired for a reason. He was beat up. He was hurt a little bit, not feeling the best. Tom Brady, dude's well over 40, saying he's going to play until he's 50. Who knows? Who knows how that's going to go? You got Ndamukong Suh, who hasn't been good since he played for the Lions.
He wasn't even good then.
Yeah, he was just an asshole.
He's average. He was an average player, and somehow he got marketed out of his skull. I remember that draft. I remember he went to that sports science show and all that stuff, man. And he just never developed, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's just not a good player all the time. I mean, he has his moments for sure, but not every down. And again, older player. Antonio Brown obviously been having his issues. He's probably in his athletic prime, but he's not because of the fact of his off-field issues has been kind of keeping him out of that. Now, hopefully,
and
I do want to see him do well.
On the table too.
Yeah,
stuff's still on the table, by the way. And I think I may be misquoting Coach Arians on this, but I heard if that stuff comes back, that all those allegations to be true, he's immediately off the team.
Yeah, so. and that would obviously put an end to everything. And I hope these meds he's on help him get through it because he does have talent, but those things are keeping him out of being in his athletic prime. So I'm kind of with you. I don't really know how to feel about them. I don't think they're as good as they were pumped up to be. You've got all the people in the NFC least sitting on the bubble here. You've got the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Eagles all sitting down there.
5-9, 4-9, 5-9. And then Washington 6-8. Looks like they're probably going to make it. But I'm about to get unsportsmanlike and go take a leak.
So, fans, I don't know what else to tell you. I think both sides of the playoff brackets are going to be wild, absolutely wild runs. I think you've got some really good games in there. I think some more of the AFC games are going to be a little more interesting than the NFC games, mainly because I think they're going to be close games. Not totally sure what more to really cover than that. Hard to kill. Do you have anything else about the playoffs? I think I said it. I think it's going to be more exciting, I think, on the AFC side than the NFC side. I think there's a little more
a little more
parity between some of the teams. But
yeah, The NFC's a goddamn mess
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3. But no, I really don't. I think it's going to be an exciting playoff season, man. We got that extra team now, so who knows
Yep.
what the hell is going to happen with that. So what are we moving on to, the UFC?
I think we move on to the AFC for our final segment of the evening.
All right, all right. You mean the UFC? Or are we still
The
talking
UFC,
AFC?
the UFC, the UFC.
Yeah, all right. Perfect, perfect.
Words are hard.
Absolutely. Words are they suck sometimes. So anyway, we'll go over a little bit. Like I don't know if you got a chance to watch the UFC fight night at all, but that was on the 23rd or the 23rd. Wow, the 19th. Excuse me. And obviously the highlight. There were a couple of big fights in here. One specifically is Marlon Moraes. He's ranked number 3 in the bantamweight division, and he loses to this guy named Rob Font. Nobody knows this guy, and he loses. And then in the bantamweight division, you got Jose Aldo, who beat Marlon Vera. Marlon Vera actually beat a up and coming Sugar Shane O'Malley. I can't wait till he's back in the octagon. So I don't know when that's going to come back. But the real fight of the night was Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal came in with a lot of hype on his name, knockout power, obviously. But that Wonder Boy just outstruck this guy technically. So it was a great night of cards. But the real thing I want to talk about is the upcoming events in 2020. Clearly, McGregor Poirier 2 is on the list. When Conor McGregor fights, the freaking whole world pays attention. Reaper, what's your thoughts?
I'm very excited for McGregor Poirier. Anytime Conor gets into the octagon is a spectacle. I'm wondering if some of this Jake Paul nonsense that's going on is going to kind of piss Conor off a little bit, and he brings that into the Poirier fight. I really hope he does. I hope he brings an attitude, kind of just, and maybe even gives us a little something after he knocks out Poirier, calling it right now. And I'm hoping he gives a little call out saying, "Yeah, you kid, you don't want to fuck with me."
Oh, baby, a little post fight speech, and the best way Connor can do it. Yeah, absolutely, for sure on that. Yeah, man, there's just so much to look forward to in the UFC. I kind of want to go over this Habib thing. I feel like Habib McGregor needs to happen again. I absolutely feel that way because if you look at McGregor and Diaz, they ran it back twice, and Diaz is a different fighter than Habib. I'd love to see a Habib McGregor too. Oh
See,
my god!
I want to see that as well. My only problem with the Khabib fight is, will he be able? He obviously won that one fight without his father, but is he going to be able to be the same guy fighting Conor McGregor without his dad there?
Look what he did to Gagey.
I know, and that's why I said he was obviously able to do it there.
Fighting Connor is on a different.
It's a different level. That's what I'm saying.
A whole nother aspect to when Connor comes to a fight, as opposed when a Justin Gagey comes to a fight. Connor just brings in a different. It's a different energy that's running through that arena. People say it. I haven't experienced it. I hope I get to see him fight live one day. But yeah. I think that would get most fight fans drooling at the mouth for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it definitely appeals to people. It definitely has its sort of intrigue to it that wants to bring people to watch it. I'd pay for it hands down, no question. Like I said, my only concern is solely the fighting Conor again, because we know how wild it got last time with Conor. At the end there and everything, baby. And his dad was part of that a little bit, I think. Does that same attitude show up, without his pops?
Right, for sure, for sure. Here's the other thing that has been debated is that Habib lost a round in that fight. to McGregor. At least that's what most top tier analysts say, which I don't know if we said that in the intro. We're not sports experts, people. We are just two dudes who enjoy talking shit, speaking about sports and the things that interest us. So let's just clear that up. But I'm pretty sure like these guys have said that Connor won a round in there, which has never been done against Habib. So it's interesting.
Yeah,
It's
it
very
definitely piques everybody. You know,
well, yeah. Go ahead.
I don't remember. That's all right.
That's how it goes sometimes. But I do want to talk about UFC 256, the main card here. Tony Ferguson loses to Charles Oliveira, Brazilian guy. Do we think that Tony Ferguson, who is 37, is done? Think about this guy. This guy was supposed to fight Habib 5 times. To think that we will never see that when Tony Ferguson 2 years ago or 3 years ago when they were supposed to originally fight, when he was on that 12 fight win streak or 10 fight win streak, whatever it might have been. You know, is Tony Ferguson done? I mean, he got controlled pretty badly by this Charles Oliveira.
Tony Ferguson, let me tell you, one of my favorite fighters of this era, for sure. The way the guy fights and just his tenacity.
It's entertaining.
Oh, and yeah, entertaining as hell. His odd fighting styles and you know it just everything about this guy is just fucking fun to watch. You know, I was a little disappointed when Gaethje took the interim belt from Ferguson. I
might have much rather would have seen Ferguson.
Same.
Other than Gaethje.
Absolutely the same.
I think we're using hindsight here too, though.
A little bit.
So we saw 2 rounds of straight domination from Habib, and we're like, oh well, it would have been different if Ferguson was fighting.
Right, and you know, I think I'm probably an unpopular take, but I think I would be more excited to see a Khabib Ferguson fight if Khabib were to return than a McGregor fight. Yeah.
You're out of your damn mind.
My problem with Connor is one of those guys is going to end the fight in the first fucking round. The part that I like about Ferguson is even if Khabib's dominating him, Ferguson's going to hang in for a full 5 rounds.
Oh my God, dude, I don't know if you got the chance to see UFC 256 and the freaking arm bar that Tony Ferguson was put in by this Oliveira kid. It was fully hyperextended. Daniel Cormier, DC, freaking looked away. Everybody in the UFC Apex thought his arm was going to get snapped. This man did not tap.
Yeah.
I think we can all take a look at Ferguson and take a page out of this man's book.
That's why I like that fight better, because even if he's getting dominated, the guy is going to hang in and put on a show. Where we saw it with Connor once, where this fight was over early. And again, we saw the same thing with Gaethje. The fight was over early. Khabib just puts him.
Connor made it to the fourth.
Yeah.
I just said, I think what I saw in his mind in the 4th round, because I've watched that fight several times because I have ESPN Plus, and I have watched it several times because I just love watching that fight. I don't know why. What it looked like to me, because when he got rear naked choked, he didn't even have it up under the chin. Habib didn't. So Connor was just like, man, I am freaking gassed out. I don't have an answer for his wrestling at this moment, and I'm tapping.
But Tony Ferguson's not going to do that, though. You know, and now, not saying the same thing would happen to Connor again, because personally, I would rather see Connor win. But
I got a problem with those Russian cats anyway, because I know that secretly they don't respect us in the Americas. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't want to get all weird about it, but you know, it's not a racial thing or anything like that. It's a cultural difference. I think they have a lower opinion of us, and they come over here and they earn American dollars, and they don't freaking show respect sometimes. I think that's just, I don't know. Maybe maybe I'm out of line.
Hey, I mean, that's your opinion, and that's what this show is about, ladies and gentlemen. That is why. That's exactly why we said maybe this isn't for everybody. but it's for us. We love sitting here talking about it. We love being able to bring up stuff that might be on some people's mind, but they don't want to necessarily voice their opinion, but they can have somebody who can voice their opinion. And once again, if you want to voice your opinions, make sure you put your comments down below. We would love to read them. Subscribe, like, and put a comment down there, because we will read it and we will probably bring it up. If we don't think it's dumb, if we do think it's dumb, it's probably not getting brought up. So just know that if it doesn't get brought up, that's what happened.
We'll definitely comment on it.
But
man, it's about that time to cut out, ain't it? Huh?
Yeah, we're just about there, I think.
I think we're there, man. I think that's it. The only good thing I want to end on the UFC. They got 3 cards coming up in January. I cannot wait. It's going to be 2 fight nights and then ending with the McGregor Poirier 2 in Abu Dhabi. You have any desire to go to Abu Dhabi?
I don't really have a desire to go anywhere outside of the good old US of A. But I would also like to mention, in February, along with the UFC, we do have the Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather fight coming up as well.
Are the contracts signed on this deal?
They are, dude. It's happening. No, Floyd has put it out on his Twitter and everything. Like, it's happening.
Logan Paul, you said?
Yeah, Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather. It's confirmed.
I gotta see this. Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather fight day. Holy crap! It's true, though.
Yeah. You think I've been lying to you about this the whole time, or what?
It's an exhibition bout. Okay.
It is an exhibition, but the fact still remains that yes, it will not blemish Floyd's record. It does blemish his credibility if he loses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're fighting some young punk. He does have 6 inches on the guy and 50 pounds. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see that for sure. All right. Yeah, that's a good man. This next year coming up, I hope it's damn better than 2020.
Hopefully.
Speaking of that, we will not be back. We're going to be doing this show normally on Wednesdays, 8:30. We hope that people come in and join in on the live audience and get involved, because that's what it's going to be about, man. Building a community around sports and ultimately opinions. You know what I mean? So we won't be back until, what are we thinking there, Reaper? About the 6th, huh?
Yeah, we won't be back till sometime in 2021. Let me pull up the calendar here. We're looking at the 6th. Wednesday the 6th is when we will be back. Hopefully bringing you more content. Like I said, guys, if you enjoy what you hear, like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Again, we'd love to read your comment. We'd love to tell you why you're wrong.
We'll be down to tell you that for sure. We're real good at that.
But yeah, man.
I guess we'll sign her on off. I think it was a great first episode. And we're going to be adding in some interesting segments that hopefully, pique the interest. So, yeah. You got anything else there, Reaper?
Yeah, guys, have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and hopefully you liked what you heard, and we'd love to see you on the show.
Yep, and all it's gonna do is get better, guys. That's all we can
promise. That is it. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the first episode, and we will see you on the next one.